G'day, happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're well. Today I want to talk about this topic of freedom. I mentioned it yesterday in my talk and I just started to reflect on it, and so I want to talk about it today. I think freedom is the fundamental driver, the fundamental motivation behind everything that we do. We're always striving towards greater freedom. And I look at society as a whole, how far we've advanced. Progress really is about creating greater freedoms. We should be, as we advance, creating lifestyles that allow us to live with a greater sense of freedom. Yet then as I look around me, I look at society as a whole and I think it feels like people are lacking freedom. It feels like when I look around me that people aren't truly living freely. And I feel like a lot of people in the day and age right now, today, are living from this state of fear rather than from this idea or motivation towards freedom. I'm a big component of freedom, and I believe that we do have the ability to live more freely, and I believe we can progress towards greater freedom. But I want to ask you, what does freedom mean to you? What does freedom truly look like? And I look at this question myself, and as soon as I think of freedom, I think, well, I want to be free to use my time as I wish. I want to be free to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I want to be free to make my own decisions and free to have choice. I want to be free to think and believe what I want to think and believe, right? And you're probably having similar thoughts. If you reflect on this, and what I want to encourage you to do is sit down today or tonight, whenever it might be, and just journal and just talk about freedom and try and reflect on this idea of freedom and what freedom looks like to you. But I think we'll find that freedom for most of us means those same things: to have choice, right? To have agency, to be able to be the master of your time and do what you want to do with that time. And I know what immediately comes to mind for a lot of people when you talk on this topic of freedom is like, that's great, but we've got to work, we've got kids, we've got commitments, and all these things that we've created in our lives that, rather than creating freedom, seems to actually sort of restrict us and control us and give us less choice, right? And that's where I think society's come a little bit unstuck. Whilst we're creating all these advances and progressing greatly, it seems like a lot of these things are also at the same time, if not managed properly, restricting us from living truly free. So I think it's a brilliant thing to reflect on. And when I reflected on this in my own life, I thought, well, what is it that allows me to live free? And when I talk about time, the freedom to use your time as you wish to use, yes, you might have to work and you might have to do a job that you don't particularly like every day or for parts of your day, whatever it might be. But why are you doing that? And do you have a choice to do that job? There's some people in this world that do live in severe restrictions, so slavery, captivity, right? For most of us, we don't. We have this ability to make choice. Now, there's another discussion about free will, which I'm not going to get into. I'm not the expert in that area, but as far as choice goes, yes, we have the option to go to work. And if you say, well, I can't, because if I don't go to work, I won't get paid and I won't be able to do this. Well, that's exactly why you're going to work. So you can have that freedom to do this, to have a house over your head, to get the food that you want to do, to go on the holiday you want to do. That's why you do that. And if you are not happy with that, then you have a choice to do other things. We have options, right? We have options to go out there and door knock if you have to do some sales if you have to do some retraining if you want to do that. There is ability to live more freely, but it all comes up here. And we have freedom there too. We have freedom to think. We have freedom to choose what infiltrates our thinking by what we consume. What media are we watching? How much social media are we scrolling through, and what rubbish are we sort of absorbing there? Maybe some good stuff as well. Are we watching the news every day? So we have this choice again to choose what we consume, and therefore what we believe as well, and therefore how we act. And I believe that's all part of this idea of freedom. And we have the ability to influence that. It's all in the inner faculty. It's our ability to control what we have control over, not what's out there. And I think sometimes we're restricted to living truly freely because we're trying to control everything out there rather than really controlling what's in here. And I think as soon as we start within and trying to get better at working within, controlling what's within, improving what's within, then we'll start living more freely. Because I think it's what stops us from living freely is those things that infiltrate our time. And usually it's external things. People coming in, requesting favors from you, doing things for you. And all these requests, infiltrating our time, infiltrating our beliefs, infiltrating the way we think, infiltrating our ability to do what we want to do, rather we seem to be doing what everyone else wants us to do, stops us from living truly freely. So you have to be good at setting boundaries so you don't allow those external matters come in, expectations come in, external expectations and measures. Those things, if they infiltrate our beliefs, if they infiltrate our time, they can really stop us proceeding and progressing in the way that allows us to live truly free. So I think the first step we can start with is this self-awareness and then strengthening our inner faculty so we can go out there and live more freely. I believe once we start to create greater awareness, we will start to feel a sense of clarity. Once we have more clarity, we have more purpose. Once we have more purpose, we have more intent. When we're purposeful with our life, when we have more intent, we become better at creating those boundaries that infiltrate our time, that stop us from living freely. So I think that's where it all starts, within, right? So awareness, create that awareness. As you create that awareness, you will become more clear about what you want to do. You're clear about your purpose. You'll become more intentional with your actions. And that will allow you to move towards a greater level of freedom. And I think it's a practice. We have to work on this every day. Certainly that's what I try and do. And I do feel like with practice and time, you will start to feel like you're living life on your own terms. And that to me is freedom. And that to me is not living in conformity. And that to me is going to lead to a life without living with regret. And what I want for all of us is to live more fully, to live more purposefully, and to have a greater sense of meaning and joy in life. That's what it's all about for me. Have a great day ahead. Hope you've enjoyed this.